India provisions and India's sovereign laws. Kanchanda, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about what this now means, the implications of this, Kanchanda?
See, till now, the big problem which not only India but other countries were facing is that these big tech platforms were insisting that the rules framed by them override sovereign laws and sovereign rules. Now what has been done is that they have to be in compliance with provisions of the Constitution of India. For instance, they cannot be promoting anything which threatens the unity, integrity, defense, security, and sovereignty of India, friendly relations with foreign states, etc. By saying that we allow all kinds of speech. So if they are found to be doing that, they would also be in violation of the amended rules. The second important thing which has been done is that supposing Twitter suspends you, or Twitter decides to, or Facebook decides to block you. Now you can, under the existing provisions, you can approach them for a resolution. Now, in case the resolution does not happen, you can now approach appellate committees which will be set up by the government over the next 3 months. And the appellate committees will be the final arbiter to decide whether what the platform has done, what the intermediary has done is right or wrong. If they decide against the intermediary is obliged to accept and implement the decision of the appellate committee. So, this sort of marks the end of big tech Raj. Now, it is India's sovereignty which shall be supreme. Indian laws, Indian constitution, and Indian dispute resolution mechanism.
Kanchan Gupta, there has been a big sort of a debate on this issue. You've been part of many such debates. Some of these big tech firms, intermediaries, have also tried to push back. Some of them have gone to court. Do they now have a choice?
No, these are notified rules. I mean, you have to be in compliance with them. I mean, there are no ifs and buts. Even if they go to court, the rules will stand.
Yeah, and this is a big move coming on a day when Elon Musk has taken over Twitter. Now there will be changes on Twitter and the way Twitter operates, but I think primarily this debate began with Twitter, Kanchan Gupta. And are you hopeful that all social media intermediaries will comply now without going to court, without kicking or screaming?
They can kick, they can scream, they can go to court, but the government of India has notified new rules that will govern big tech platforms, i.e. intermediaries in the Republic of India.
You had flagged some of these, and you do it on a daily basis almost, to flag how social media is misused and how provisions of our constitution are often violated. What was the threat that you primarily as a journalist, as a user, saw that these social media intermediaries weren't following, that you have flagged yourself?
No, it's very simple. I mean, if Government of India spots, for instance, something which is against, like I read out the provision to you about India's sovereignty and security and defense interests. Now, if Government of India was, in the past, whenever it approached these intermediaries, they said, oh no, our rules allow it, our rules permit it. So the content is not in violation of our rules. Now, you see, their rules cannot supersede the law in India. And that is the point which has been sort of now been made mandatory, that no, sorry, whatever your rules, whether they are in agreement, whether they are not in agreement with the Constitution of India, with the sovereign laws of India, with the sovereign rules of India, We are sorry, but you have to be in compliance.
Fantastic message. Thank you, Kanchan Gupta, Senior Advisor in the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, for joining us and putting it beautifully. In fact, this has been one of the biggest debates. My colleague Shravan is also joining us on the broadcast. Shravan, this is a big move. We've been debating it for almost 2 years now. I think that's primarily when the debate began 2.5 years ago, with many big tech firms refusing to follow Indian rules, IT laws, and it's come a full circle. They will have no choice now but to follow provisions of the Constitution and the newly amended IT laws. Shravan.
Well, thank you very much, Niranjan, as we're breaking that big move that has been made by the government of India. Remember, there's been a massive debate whether at all social media platforms are liable to follow this. This comes on a day when we have seen that big takeover by Elon Musk, and also the statement that he's actually put out, where he says that the law of land is going to be paramount. So for social media giants like Twitter, Facebook and others, following the law of land would become paramount. And as Kanchan Gupta was also pointing out, that these changes have essentially been made to keep in mind that the multiple grievances that users have had, it does not get the kind of redressal that it should be. And that is the reason why these changes that have essentially been made by the government of India is also with keeping in mind that the users get the benefit of it.
Absolutely. And Shravan, you go through the details of this notification, the guidelines. It's very clear, and it talks about the do's and don'ts. Of course, Twitter, remember Twitter went to court, Shravan. We covered it in great detail, and things, of course, will now change. Many believe that with the coming of Elon Musk, the owning of Twitter, the ownership change will change things and how Twitter functions, their attitude, etc. To countries like India, they will have to, of course, follow the rules. But I think going by the notification, I'm just reading out some of the excerpts of the app, this entire notification that we've accessed. Rule 3, I'm just going through the intermediary shall prominently publish on its website's mobile-based application, as the case may be, the rules and regulation, privacy policy, user agreement, any language specified in the 8th schedule to ensure that people ensure there is compliance. So compliance is one issue they had issues on. That compliance is now taken care of. And the intermediary shall also inform rules and regulations, privacy policy, user agreement. And they will have to do it. They will have to upload it, display it, modify, publish, transmit, store, update, or share any information. And they will have to make all of this data available. And I think Abhishek is joining us with more details. Shravan, let's also go across to him. Abhishek, this is like in the words of Kanchan Gupta, who's tweeted, he says the big tech Raj, end of the rules framed by the big tech Raj. They had a rule to themselves. They thought that would be the rule they would follow, and they're not liable to the Constitution of India, the laws of India. Does all of that now change? Abhishek.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, remember, Niranjan, these rules are really evolving. We saw how last year the government brought in mechanism by which these platforms, these intermediaries had to have a contact number, a contact person, an address in India so that they could be contacted by the government. And if the general public wanted to approach them, there were some coordinates available. And now taking it further, the government is going to set up a grievance redressal committee, which would be made of 3 or more officials, and whenever complaints reach them, insofar as their accounts getting blocked or their content getting filtered out or struck out, this grievance redressal committee would look into it. So there is essentially an oversight mechanism that has been put in place by the government of India over these platforms, which were effectively a law unto themselves, given the fact that they keep most of their servers in the United States or their countries of origin. Also that they have their corporate headquarters in those countries. They pay their taxes there, and they follow the rules of United States or whichever country they are in, but not of India. So I think in that sense, a rules-based architecture, so to say, is being put in with an element of oversight through this committee, which would be looking into grievances from general public, and these are all set to roll out tomorrow. And this is through an amendment. Niranjan, the gadget notification has been brought out, and government's media advisor Kanchan Gupta has tweeted it. And this dovetails, Niranjan, with the ongoing controversy around Meta and Wire. Remember, Wire had come out with a series of stories on how some content on Facebook was filtered or struck out, and that the deletion happened, according to Wire, on the recommendations of the all-powerful IT chief of the BJP. But it so happened that that striking out, in fact, had happened because of an AI-based algorithm, or the artificial intelligence-based software mechanism that these platforms use. Also, Niranjan, this is connected with the takeover of Twitter by Elon Musk. Remember, it is the left versus right narrative which has been panning out, like in the case of India, so in the case of United States as well. And a section within the US population, with the likes of Musk, really the leading lights of that, believing that platforms like Twitter and even Facebook have essentially pandered to a left liberal establishment, and to that extent, those who were on the right of center had a certain disadvantage on these platforms, because of which, in fact, Trump had to go out from Twitter because he was suspended. Now with takeover of Twitter by Musk, and then subsequently in India, we are seeing gradually the government also coming to grips with the problem of big tech. As Kanchanda was explaining just a while back, these rules really come as an aid to the common man against these powerful companies which have doubled up as media companies as well. Essentially tech companies becoming media companies because of the nature and evolution of big tech and these social media platforms. So I think in that sense, this is a significant development, Niranjan, and these rules kick in from tomorrow.
I think Ketna is also joining us on the phone line. Ketna, who heads our the research desk on Republic TV, is joining us with more details. Ketna, why don't you tell us what this means for these big tech firms, and how do things change starting tomorrow?
Absolutely, Niranjan. So what this does is it makes the digital intermediaries more accountable. We remember last year was when the initial IT rules were notified, and we saw the government move forward towards ensuring entities like Twitter and Facebook are accountable under Indian laws. What happens now is everything under the Indian constitution, so the entire realm of the Indian legal system sort of applies to these digital intermediaries when they're operating in the country. So now, when it's matters of sovereignty, integrity of the nation, they cannot get away anymore. And with the establishment of like a grievance appellate committee, which are completely digital, it ensures that citizens in the country can directly address their grievances to an establishment that will take note of it and ensure intermediaries are held accountable in a time-bound manner. What's significant is also that it's happening from tomorrow onwards.
Ketna, stay with me. Ankit is joining us with the details of the notification that the government of India has just put out. Ankit, the timing is very interesting when things are changing around the world as far as social media and intermediaries go. Ankit, take us through the details, Ankit.
Here is the notification. I'll just read out a few key aspects of it, because apart from the appellate tribunal and also the fact that the rules will be published on the app of whichever social media it also specifies various rules that will be followed, such as the platform shall not publish anything that belongs to another person and to which the user does not have any right, does not publish anything that is obscene, pornographic, pedophilic and invasive of another's privacy, including bodily privacy, insulting or harassing the basis of gender, racially or ethnically objectionable, relating to encouraging money laundering and gambling, or promoting enmity between different groups on the grounds of religion, caste, with the intent to incite violence, is harmful to children, infringes any patent, trademark, copyright or any proprietary rights, deceives or misleads the addressee about the origin of the message, or knowingly and intentionally communicates any misinformation or information which is patently false, impersonates another person, and also threatens the unity, integrity, defense, security or sovereignty of India, friendly relations with foreign states, or public order, or causes incitement to the commission of any cognizable offence, or prevents investigation of any offence, or is insulting other nations. So it makes it very clear in the set of rules, and there are more also, and you can read them on republicworld.com, that no one is now allowed to just simply hold the garb of being an intermediary and allow all of these to be published on their platform. They must also spell this on the platform. So that is what the IT rules specify. It's a big news story, and you can read about it and see the entire notification on Republic World.
All right, Ankit, those are details of the notification which you read, with which the government makes it clear to these big tech social media platforms that there is an element of oversight now, that they cannot really ride roughshod over people's sentiments, and that in case they are seen to be dealing with the citizens of India with a heavy hand, there is a mechanism in place now according to which these persons affected by decisions of the big tech can seek redressal. And Ankit, if you could just read that bit or that part of the notification which mentions the membership of the Grievance Redressal Committee that has been put in place. Is it completely made of officials from the Government of India, or does it have members of the civil society also joining? If you can share with the viewers for the benefit of their understanding, and also how to approach that committee if people are affected by decisions of these social media platforms.
So absolutely, Abhishek, here's what it says about the Grievance Appellate Committee. It says that each Grievance Appellate Committee shall consist of a chairperson and 2 whole-time members appointed by the central government, of which 1 shall be a member ex officio and 2 shall be independent members. So there is the breakup. It also says any person aggrieved by a decision of the grievance officer may prefer an appeal to the Grievance Appellate Committee within a period of 30 days from the date of receipt of the communication from the grievance officer. So it has the 2-step procedure. It has a appellate committee also, and it also has someone to redress if you are not satisfied with the award adjudicated by that committee.
All right, so, you know, in the case of mainstream media, in the case of newspapers, in the case of television, there are mechanisms in place from the Press Council of India to the respective regulation bodies that television industry has, for example. So in the case of advertising, in fact, there is a very strong oversight mechanism for news television, for example, in the form of an interministerial committee, which works under the overall guidance of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and they regularly keep sending notices. They watch 24/7, every minute, every second of content going on air. But something like that was missing insofar as social media platforms were concerned. The answer to every question when it came to any wrong was that, oh, this is artificial intelligence, this is robotics, these are bots, these are, machines taking care of content based on certain algorithms. So I think now an element of human oversight has been brought in, which is by itself a great idea, Ankit, and it seems it was in the making for a while. Remember, last year the rules were brought in the IT Act, by which these platforms were supposed to maintain an office, not just an office, but coordinates by way of a person who could be contacted in case of a grievance or in case of a complaint.